Princess Leora had always been the jewel of the Aurelians, a species known for their sharp intellect, luminescent skin, and a culture that prized mental agility over brute strength. Yet despite her numerous suitors from across the galaxy, she dismissed every male who approached her with an air of polite indifference. Her advisors whispered of her discerning taste, her family of her high standards, but many wondered if she would ever find someone worthy in the heart of the capital city, atop towers that shimmered like liquid crystal. She observed the usual procession of hopefuls. They were warriors, diplomats, scholars, each presenting themselves with elaborate gestures and gifts meant to impress. Leora evaluated them carefully, her eyes like twin moons, cool and calculating. And yet every attempt failed. They bowed. They spoke with practiced charm. They offered exotic artifacts, yet she found no spark in any of them. They lack understanding of what truly matters. She murmured to her aide, a gentle humanoid named Evan, whose voice was calm and steady. Evan had been with her since childhood, witnessing every suitor's failure and every dismissive glance of the princess. They are impressive in their ways, Your Highness, Evan said, but perhaps none of them know you, truly. Leora's gaze drifted to the distant stars, those scattered jewels of the void. She felt a strange pull towards something she could not yet name, something beyond the political alliances, the social maneuvers, and the expected displays of power got it. Was then that the message arrived. A human vessel, a single ship rather than a fleet, had entered Aurelia's space, broadcasting a request for audience with the royal family. It was unusual for humans to travel so far into known Aurelian territory without a formal invitation. Humans were regarded with fascination and suspicion. Their technology was crude by Aurelian standards, yet they carried an unpredictability that intrigued many. The human requests to meet Princess Leora directly, Evan reported. Leora tilted her head, intrigued but skeptical. Directly? She asked. How bold of him. Bold or foolish, Evan said. It is rare for a human to seek an audience without protocol. Leora smiled faintly, a rare warmth touching her lips. Then we shall see what he brings. The human arrived at the palace the following cycle. The ship, small and utilitarian, looked almost fragile compared to the grand Aurelian crafts. From its hatch emerged a man in simple attire, not the elaborate garments of a diplomat, but something practical, suited for exploration and survival. His hair was dark, his posture relaxed yet confident. His eyes, a deep brown, scanned the palace surroundings with quiet curiosity. When he was presented before the princess, he did not bow deeply or kneel. He simply stood, his hands at his sides, and spoke clearly. I am Kale, he said. I have traveled far to meet you. Princess, the court murmured. Protocol had been broken, and yet there was something in his tone calm, direct, and respectful that drew attention. Leora regarded him carefully, her mind probing beneath the surface of the human's presence. Why have you come? She asked, her voice a melody of authority and curiosity. I have heard of your wisdom and the grace with which you rule, Kale said. I wish to see it for myself, and perhaps to learn from you. The princess blinked. No one had ever approached her in such a way, not with flattery, nor with gifts, nor with demands. There was something disarming about his sincerity. You speak of learning, Leora said, her tone measured. Most who approach me seek power or alliance or wealth. What makes you different? Kale smiled faintly. I do not seek to rule, and I do not seek to own. I seek understanding. Perhaps in the process, we might learn from each other. Evan watched silently, sensing the subtle shift in Leora's demeanor. Her gaze, usually sharp and evaluating, softened, lingering on the human with a hint of curiosity she rarely allowed herself to show. Days passed as Kale remained in Aurelia, not as a guest merely observing, but as one actively engaged in learning the culture, the science, and the arts of the Aurelians. He asked questions that revealed insight, yet never arrogance. He respected traditions while gently challenging assumptions, sparking conversations that even Leora found stimulating. During a council meeting, Kale offered a suggestion regarding the optimization of energy distribution across the city's power grid. The proposal was simple yet elegant, combining human pragmatism with Aurelian innovation. Leora, who had dismissed similar ideas from her own advisors, studied the diagrams he presented. "This is effective," she admitted, her voice tinged with surprise. "I had not considered this approach." Kale nodded. "I have seen similar problems on my planet. The solutions may differ, but principles remain." In private, Leora found herself walking with Kale along the luminescent gardens that spiraled around the palace towers. He spoke of Earth in ways that painted vivid images, of forests, oceans, and starscapes unknown to Aurelians. She shared stories of her childhood, her education, her responsibilities, and he listened with undivided attention. "Most come to impress me," Leora said one evening, the sky above them ablaze with twin moons. "They offer riches or flattery. You offer curiosity." Kale smiled. "I offer truth. One can only admire what one truly understands." The words lingered in her mind. In the quiet of the palace chambers, she realized she had never been seen for herself. Not in her brilliance, not in her fears, not in her solitude. And now, the human, with all his simplicity and authenticity, saw her in ways others had failed to do. It was not long before challenges arose. Other Aurelian nobles whispered their disapproval, suggesting that the princess was too taken by a human, an outsider unfit to share her presence. Delegates from distant systems questioned the wisdom of such familiarity, warning of political consequences. Leora, however, found herself unfazed by these murmurs. She valued insight and character above lineage or status. Kale, aware of the scrutiny, addressed her calmly one evening. "You may be judged for knowing me, but you must judge for yourself, princess. Our decisions should be guided by understanding, not fear of opinion." Leora nodded, a resolve forming that surprised even her. For the first time, she considered the possibility that connection, rather than status or expectation, could define her choice. One night, as they observed the stars from the palace terrace, Kale spoke quietly. "I have seen worlds where leaders make choices without understanding their people. And I have seen those who listen, who learn, who act with both courage and care. You have that potential, princess." Her heart, often guarded and resolute, stirred in a way unfamiliar. "And you see me clearly?" she asked. Kale's gaze held hers. "I see you. Not just the princess, but the person who bears the weight of her people with grace, who seeks truth even when it challenges tradition, who refuses to accept what is easy, and instead strives for what is just." For a moment, the distance between human and Aurelian seemed to vanish. In their shared understanding, a bridge was built stronger than any political alliance or ceremonial promise. The days became a rhythm of discovery. Kale demonstrated human engineering techniques, showing practical applications that fascinated Leora's scientific council. He taught her games of strategy that honed both intuition and creativity. In turn, Leora introduced him to Aurelian arts and philosophies, guiding him through intricate concepts that shaped her people's worldview. Through these exchanges, the princess found herself laughing more freely than she had in decades, thinking more expansively, and trusting more deeply. And Kale, too, discovered that humans were capable of wisdom beyond technology, of patience beyond impulse, and of empathy that could cross the gulf of species and culture. It was during the Festival of Moons, an event celebrating the union of knowledge and tradition, that the transformation became undeniable. As the city glimmered under the reflected light of 3 moons, Leora addressed her people before the council. "I have dismissed many," she said, her voice carrying authority and warmth. "I have sought perfection in forms that are distant and abstract. But understanding, courage, and sincerity are not bound by species or status. They are qualities that elevate us, that unite us. And today, I acknowledge the presence of one who embodies these qualities, a human named Kale, whose journey has brought wisdom and insight to our world." The hall erupted in murmurs, both of surprise and admiration. For the first time, many saw their princess not as an untouchable jewel, but as a being capable of recognizing greatness in another, regardless of origin. Kale stepped forward, bowing slightly in respect. "I am honored," he said simply, "and I am grateful for the guidance, the trust, and the friendship you have offered, Princess Leora." She regarded him with a steady gaze, her decision clear in both heart and mind. "Not only friendship," she said, "your presence has changed the way I see the world, and I believe it can change the future of Aurelia if we face it together." Weeks turned into months, and their partnership strengthened. Together, they introduced reforms that balanced tradition with innovation, blending human pragmatism with Aurelian sophistication. They explored distant planets, shared knowledge with other civilizations, and set an example that greatness is defined not by heritage, but by understanding. Courage and character dot in time, the story of the princess who dismissed every male until a human astonished her became a legend across the stars. Not for romance alone, but for the profound reminder that humanity, in all its imperfection,